Direct from Foxborough, Massachusetts, the gem of Norfolk County, and taped at the studios of Foxborough Cable Access. It's Foxborough Central. And here's your host, Bob Hickey.
And welcome to another episode of Foxborough Central. I am Bob Hickey, your host, and I thank you for taking the time to be with me and my guest as we talk about the people, events, and organizations that make Foxborough truly the gem of Norfolk County. Now, for those of you who have lived here in Foxborough since 9/11, you're familiar with a particular family who has come to be a big part of our community, part of the fabric of our community, if you will. Of course, I'm talking about the McGintys, Cindy McGinty and her husband, Michael, and two children, Daniel and David, were part of the Bethany Church, part of Pac 70 and Troop 7 Boy Scouts, and then on that fateful day, September 11, 2001, tragedy struck, and Mr. McGinty Michael, our friend, was taken from us. And since then, Cindy, Daniel, and David have made their way through life, and life is a wondrous event, no matter how you look at it, short, long, and we are blessed that Cindy is still part of our community, even though she's moved off to her home roots of Connecticut. But she and her two boys still make their way through, and this year, 2018, depending upon when you're watching us, of course, we were blessed to have Cindy back again for the annual McGinty Family Fun Day. Of course, that's part a remembrance of her husband, their father, but also part of a celebration of Foxborough and who we are. And of course, the money raised goes towards scholarships that Cindy has maintained, as well as her committee of do-good people, friends and neighbors, to help high school students who are graduating go on to college in his memory. So, why am I going through all that? Because we are honored today to be joined by the McGinty family, and I am here today with David. David, thank you so much for taking the time to come out.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Well, I'm very excited to have you here because, as we were chatting about before we started taping, scouting is my last vivid memory of us interacting.
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. Here we are in 2018. So maybe, and by the way, everybody, a fascinating young man who has carved a very creative career for himself. And that's why I thought it was I'm very interested in seeing where you're at now. And I think it'd be a compelling program for you. But of course, if you know me, I like to talk a little history and play a little catch up. So why don't we do that?
Absolutely.
Since those scouting days, what have we been doing?
Well, I lived here in Foxborough until ninth grade. And when I was 14, my mom moved us to Connecticut, but until then I was still very active at Bethany Church and went to the Foxborough Regional Charter School. Lots of great people from those places have helped us out a lot with Family Fun Day, and we've been doing that for 14 years now. So I always try and make it down here as much as I can for that. But for a while I wasn't able to because of college out in Los Angeles. So you
went to college out in Los Angeles?
Yes. I went to college in San Francisco and then moved down to Los Angeles after that. And I went to the Academy of Art University and studied photography there.
I see.
And I received my degree last year in 2017 in photography.
So what does one do with a photography degree?
Well, you're going to have to
go to weddings and you take pictures.
Yes, and it's you're going to have to be comfortable with not making a lot of money for a little while in the arts field, but slowly but surely it's been monetizing, and you just got to take any gig that comes to you in my position.
So let's talk about the arts field. And, part of the arts that fascinates me is that there's a level of creativity no matter what segment of the arts you call your piece. And so performing on stage or doing the backstage operations. I'm sure the same is true of photography. So what is your creativity? What is your drive? What is it that drew you to photography?
Well, at first, honestly, I thought it was just a really easy gig because all you have to do is press a button. And then when I went to college, I learned that there's a lot more that goes into it than that.
So there's a well-spent college education then?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, as I'm sure you know, even just like lighting things, that was the hardest for me in college, is figuring out how to use the strobe lights and all that. But it gave me a good background in studio lighting, all the different location lighting, all the different areas I need to do my craft.
Okay.
And I just love to keep doing it. I like to be around other creatives and artists, and anything that motivates me to do it more is something I got to go after.
All right, so you surely have a very important job with a corporate entity, and you're making six figures and you're taking photographs of corporate events, right?
Yeah, hopefully one day.
Hopefully one day. So what are we doing? What is in the world of photography? What is ground floor? What is your first do here? Yeah,
so mostly I do music photography, and there's not a whole lot of money in that. I found a way to monetize it a little bit, but I still have to have that, side gig in Los Angeles to pay the bills. But I'd like to move into more of a travel direction with my work, and also that's something that is going to take a long time to monetize. But I am lucky because I'm young and I can start now, so hopefully within 5 years that'll be my only job.
Excellent. Well, Los Angeles is an expensive place to be, but as I'm sure many of us who are on the East Coast are sort of start-dazzled with it. It's the place to be if you're into the arts and,
most
movies and everything else, right?
Yeah, there's definitely no shortage of work over there.
Could you do the same thing if you were, say, commuting from Montana or from Texas?
You know what? I would be out of a job if I lived in Montana.
So Los Angeles is the place to be.
Yes.
Excellent. So how often do you get back home to visit?
As much as I can. I spend quite a good amount of time here because, I was here a couple months ago and then I went back to Los Angeles for a month or two. And then I came back for, I've had an event every week pretty much. I had, just music festivals, and then we had all the events, the McGinty Day and all that's going on this weekend. And then next weekend I'm going to the Wormtown Music Festival. It's their 20th anniversary. They got a lot of good bands playing. A couple friends of mine are playing, and it's just a great opportunity for me to hang out with other creatives and artists and be around other bands and just shoot as much as I can.
Excellent. And now, do you have your own company?
Yes, Mad Chameleon Photography.
Is there a website with that?
Yes, there is. madchameleonphoto.com.
Photo.com.
Yes.
Excellent. Now, quick, are you also on Twitter and Instagram?
So
and all
the best
things?
place to reach me is Instagram. I'm trying to get to 10,000 followers within my first year.
Let's help David out.
Yep.
How do we get you?
I'm at 8,500 right now, so I need 1,500 more.
All right. And what's your handle out
next
there?
month or two? That would be Mad Chameleon Photo.
All right. We will track you down.
Yeah.
Mad Chameleon Photo. Why Mad Chameleon?
Well, it's I was a big fan of the band Stone Sour growing up, and one of their lyrics had the words Mad Chameleon in it, and I always liked it. It stuck with me because I always felt my spirit animal was a chameleon. I could kind of blend into any situation and, always find a way to get through that way.
Okay. Mad Chameleon Photography. Excellent, David. And it seems to fit you well.
Yeah, thank you.
And I do like the threads. So what we're also going to do is take a look at some pictures. Before we do that, though, wanted to ask for people who are out there and aspiring photographers. I know there's a photography club and there's some different ways one can go down the career path. Is there a set career path, or what do you...
It's one of the most...
What do you really...
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most open-ended careers you could possibly have, but that's the cool thing about it. It's very tough starting out, but at the end of the day, you can do so much with it. You can get paid to travel. You can work with almost anybody, any company, I work with mostly bands, and it's cool to, sit backstage with them. And but the advice I would give to people that want to do it is just go out and shoot, figure out what your path is. Because my path is not going to be the same as the other 50 people that I graduated with. And everybody's gone down different routes. But I would suggest, even before going to school for it, I would suggest, trying it out yourself for a year, just going for it, and then kind of go for the education after you've figured out what path you're going to go down.
Wow. So I'm talking with David McGinty, of course, who is... here with his company, Mad Chameleon Photography. We're catching up with old friends. We'll call this the Old Friend Show. And another great friend, dear friend, is your mom, Cindy, who is going to join us later on in the program. But before we get to talk with Cindy and catch up with her and see how things are going down in Connecticut, we'd love to see some of your photography. So if you don't mind, why don't we take a look at some of your photographs?
Absolutely.
All right,
Sounds great.
So let's take a quick look. And this first one I see, what am I seeing here?
So this is my favorite band that I like to shoot. They are called Bella's Bar Talk, and they are a circus punk, gypsy punk band. They're very out there, very unique.
All right, I got to stop. Circus punk?
Yes.
What does that mean?
That is a very, there's not a lot of bands in that genre, but they're one of them. It's lots of brass instruments, but it's, like rocky and punky as well. So they've really melded a lot of different genres into one here. And
interesting.
Their stage presence is just unlike any other, and as is their image.
So I love the use of the colors, and you have the front lighting. The question I have is, do you follow them? Do they ask you to follow them? How does you keep saying the word monetize, and I think it's a phenomenal word because
Yes.
everything has to be done unless
Yes.
it's a hobby. And unfortunately, we don't get paid for our hobbies, which means we're doing other things. So how do you follow them? What does that mean?
Well, they happen to be at a lot of the festivals and events I go to. So obviously, every time they're playing, I always make sure to shoot them. And they haven't invited me on tour yet. Hopefully soon, but
Well, maybe they'll see this show on www.fcatv.org.
hopefully, yeah. Well,
Everybody looks at that website.
Yep. And well, I mean, they have used a lot of my images for their social media accounts and stuff like that. So
Great.
they definitely know who I am.
Great, great. Excellent. Well, that is interesting. Let's take a look at the next one. And then we have...
This is the Motet, and that woman on the left there, that is Shira from Turquoise. They're two kind of jammy, funky, jazzy bands. And this was rare because they're, from two different bands, and they had just the greatest stage presence, and I got some really good shots from that show.
The look they're giving is very intense yet fun. I like that.
Yes.
I like that a lot.
And that was at the Disc Jam Music Festival.
So from a technical side, what sort of special filtering or how do you get a shot like that?
Well, it's really tough with concert photography because I'll find that, I'll shoot about 1,000 shots a night and maybe I can use 5 of them.
Really?
Because the lights on stage change so much that it's hard to adjust for the lighting. I mean, if it was consistent lighting, as I'm sure you know, I could just set my camera settings to that and it would come out perfect every time. But since the stage lighting, it changes so quickly, I've lost a couple shots because I was exposed to how it was, and then they'll change really quick. And so you kind of got to get lucky and really time it out right. It's mostly up to the lighting guys on that one, and I love all of them. Everybody I work with has been great.
I don't imagine with the introduction of the LED lights, it only adds to it because now you can move the lights and
And I find
that has to play havoc because it's not a soft light; it's a harsh, it's a straight on light, right?
Yes, and I'm constantly adjusting my settings on my camera in the crowd, and I find that the more money the festival organizers put into the lights, the better my shots look. So.
There you go. All right, well, there we have a nice shot. Let's go on to the next one. I'm looking at this.
This is the Motet as well. I just loved this because I'm hoping they use this for an album cover one day because I think this is one of my favorite shots I've ever taken.
I like the lighting. So that wasn't added in. That was the lighting that was there?
Yeah, no, this is all, it's manipulated a little bit in post. I bring down the highlights, make it more sharp, put more saturation in there, but just little tweaks, for the most part, this is really what it did look like, in that moment.
Wow, nice. All right.
And then this is...
that looks like if you're being paid for your work, you're a professional. I'm just going to say that looks like a professional shot, but it is.
Yeah.
It definitely is. What a great shot that is.
Thank you so much. And that is a band from New Orleans called Galactic. And they threw a killer show. I actually didn't know who they were. I was just in the crowd for that shot. So I just ended up this is one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken, and it came out really good.
Well, thank you for sharing these with us, David McGinty with Mad Chameleon Photography. We have a few more, and then we're going to see if we can't ask nicely and see if her mom will join us for a little
Absolutely.
chat, a little sit down, shall we?
I think she might.
I think she might.
Maybe if we charm her.
Well, we love her, so. What's this?
This was from a secret show, so it was members of like 8 different bands.
Are we allowed to see this?
Yeah, well now, since the show's already happened.
The secret's out. All right.
So yeah, it was, members from 8 different bands. It was like a super group, of all the bands that were there. And we were in this tent and they were just blasting it with fog and the lights behind it. And I love how that came out in this shot. It's very hazy.
Looks sharp.
Dreamlike.
That's great. That's great. All right. I love lettuce. What are we doing here?
Well, these are actually some very good friends of mine. I went to high school with the bassist that you're seeing here, and they are in the band Leon Trout. I would highly recommend anybody go check out Leon Trout. They are a great band based in Boston, pretty close to this area. I always make their shows if I can go. I actually have a tattoo of a trout on my leg just because of them.
Okay, we're not going to have a picture of that though, right?
Yeah.
No? Okay, that's too
Unfortunately not.
So Leon Trout here in Boston, check him out. Mm-hmm. And here we go.
This is another of Bella's Bar Talk. If you can't tell, they are my favorite band.
All right, we've gotten that. That's good.
Yeah, and this was their first show back after a long time because this vocalist had injured his vocal cords. So this was them playing for the first time after a month and a half. they invited these Puppet Guys company out to hop on stage for a couple songs with them, and I just love how this really describes what that band is like, you know, the out there of that puppet.
That's, I'm not sure what to say, so I'm going to let you do all the saying, and I'm just going to look at it. And that's really interesting with the light coming behind the singer's head and the puppets. You were able to capture that. That's.
Well, thank you. That's actually one of the shots that they used for their Instagram.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And this one I edited a little bit too much, but I like how it came out. You know, very, very saturated. I wanted to make look, you know, really rainbowy. I posted this on the day of the Pride parades because I thought it fit in really well with that,
Sure.
you know, with that theme, just the way the colors went. But
You know, and from an artist standpoint, there's so much you can do with photography, post-production as well. It's no longer the days where you're simply developing it in the darkroom. You now have computer files, and these are all digital, I'm assuming.
yes, and you can really make it look larger than life now, you know, with Lightroom and all the editing software we have. And what I loved about this was, you know, as you can see, I'm on the back of the stage here. They actually were nice enough to invite me on stage to get a couple shots. And
That's great.
at a certain point, they just started playing my favorite song, and I had to just stand there and stop shooting and just watch because I had to take that moment in, you know.
Gotta ask, what is it?
That would be, at the time it was Ramona, but they've come out with a new album since then. It's called This Is Me Monster by Bellas Bartok.
Okay.
Very, very good stuff. Go check it out.
Excellent. Do we have more pictures?
Yeah, there should be one or two more.
All right, let's keep going.
Here's the last one. So this is a little change of pace. I've been trying to move into more of a travel-based direction with my photography. This was at the Plainville, Connecticut Hot Air Balloon Festival. And it's just, I try and go there every year, and, you know, it always makes for some great shots.
That's amazing. That's a money shot right there.
Well, thank you. I'm just starting to get into this type of work, so it's pretty new to me. But
Well, clearly, if anybody's in need of music, promotional photography, or clearly other things work as well.
Yeah.
Check out Mad Chameleon Photography. David McGintys is making his way in the world out in Los Angeles. He will travel, I understand.
oh yeah,
All right.
Oh, yeah.
In the lower 48, or you're up for international as well?
I will go anywhere. I'm actually going to Tokyo soon.
Are you really?
Yeah, 2 weeks now. I'm gonna be shooting a lot of photos out there. I've connected with a couple American bands that happen to be there.
Outstanding.
And bands that I know. So I will be shooting them, and you know, it'll be cool to see some familiar faces that far away from home.
Fantastic. Well, if we will just take one quick second, when we come back, we are going to be joined by your mom, Cindy McGintys. So we look forward to that.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for coming back and joining us through the magic of television. Of course, we now see your mom, Cindy. Cindy,
Hey.
thank you so much for coming out.
Good to see you, Bob.
Always a pleasure to see you every year when you come back for the McGinty Family Fun Day. One
Thank you.
of the really look towards events in Foxborough from the very beginning, where it started off at the Ocasio River Park to now.
Remember that?
I do. But now it's such an institution.
I think it started around your dining room table, or yours or the Byron's.
You know, yeah, probably. And then I remember sitting in your sunroom and
Yeah.
doing all that work. And you had so many great volunteers, and some of them are still with you.
Yes.
Today.
Yes, they are.
You said 14 years down the road. So,
Yeah, and I mean, I want to thank them because the last couple of years, it's really kind of come out of our hands and into theirs. So they've really
Yes.
stepped it up.
Well, part of that also is it's become, and I use the word fabric, not loosely, although it seems that way, but Foxborough, as most towns are, have a special feel, special taste. And I think Foxborough has not only embraced you and your family, but the McGinty Family Fun Day is part of who we are and how we identify. So thank you for continuing to allow us to do it, I guess is the way to say it.
I really.
Although it's not me by any means, but I'm just saying us and the
No,
royal
I
we.
think
So
it's the whole community, though, because if people didn't show up, we wouldn't still be doing it. And I am very
and there's new
thankful.
generations of people.
Yes,
that are
you
coming
see
out
new
and learning.
faces every year, and they learn about Mike and they learn about 9/11, but they also have a great day together, and I think that's what makes Foxborough so special.
Well, and that is exactly what the spirit of the whole event was to take 9/11, the tragedy that it was, and turn it into more of a celebration of hope and the future. So,
Yep.
you've really held true to that, and that is what the
Yes.
event is today. And I guess that would lead me to and we've known each other for so long.
Yeah.
It's hard to interview a friend because we've sat around the table. I just use the water pressure, the power washer that you gave me when you were moving out to clean down my trailer. So it's not as if we don't know each other.
Right.
So, some of the questions I would ask, and I've got so many, but from 9/11, from where it was to what it means today,
Yes.
17 years after the fact, and this show will have aired right after 9/11. So what would you want people to think about and do? Because you're still so involved with the veterans groups, with the,
Yes.
with the 9/11 organizations up here, even though you live in Connecticut.
Yes.
I'm going to make you my resident expert. So what would you want us to do, or how should we be dealing with the aftermath of 9/11 today?
Well, I like to say that hope was born on 9/11. Because, yes, something bad happened, something terrible happened to our family, but nobody goes through life unscathed. Everybody has their tragedies. You walk through the grocery store and everybody you pass, they all have their sad story, their tragedy in their family. Ours just happened to be very public. So I tried to instill in both my boys that we're no different from anybody else, except that ours happened in a very public way. But the town of Foxborough, the state of Massachusetts, wrapped their arms around us. And in many ways, we were very lucky. Most people don't get the support that we had because of our tragedy. So what I want people to do is recreate, and Chris Mitchell says this all the time, recreate the good that happened after 9/11. Like you saw flags flying, you saw neighbors helping neighbors. Chris Mitchell mowed my lawn.
Well, I was just going to say, Chris Mitchell, who in a previous life had landscaping. He was your...
For 8 years.
He was your lawn angel.
Yes. We had to move to get him to stop.
That was a joke you said. We have to move. We got to stop doing this.
And I read an article in the Hartford Courant just a couple days ago that someone paid for the coffee behind them, and it started a chain of events that went on for 3 hours.
Oh, really?
And the manager was like, I can't believe this. So that's what I want people to recreate on 9/11. Do a good deed for somebody. Do a good deed for yourself, because you matter too. So do something good, and remember all the people that are suffering out there, all the veterans that are over in Iraq and Afghanistan serving in Syria, that are deployed and away from their homes, all the people that gave their lives. We now have a new memorial on the Common. Do something good. If you don't know somebody that died on 9/11, certainly everybody knows somebody who has served or is serving. So do a good deed in someone's name, and let's recreate that and think about what would every day be like if you did one nice thing for somebody every day.
Yeah, that's a great thought. That's a great thought. So there's your thought for now. But also 9/11 was such a pivotal point in our makeup as who we are as a country, but also it was so impactful. Your life is 180 degrees different than where you thought it would be.
Yes.
Right? And by the way, how's Michael doing? What's he up to? I mean, not Michael. Daniel. I'm sorry, Daniel. How's Daniel doing?
He's doing great. He's down in Jersey City, and he just signed up for a year of AmeriCorps.
Really?
Could not be more proud of both my boys.
So giving back, there you go.
Yep.
And we've talked to David a little bit, so I think we already know what's going on.
We know it, and
we know
I have to say,
that.
I'm very proud of him as well.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of both boys, and you can see we're fine. We lost Mike, but I had a great husband. They had a great father. Not everybody gets that.
Yeah, and if I can speak to that for a second, I think the main thing that people say to me when I tell them that my father was killed on 9/11 is, oh, I'm sorry. But I'm not sorry, because what that event taught me is whatever negative situation that's going to happen in my life, I'm going to find the positive from that. And I don't think I would be that type of person if that hadn't happened to me.
Well, I think that's and it's interesting you say that, because I think one of the things that really strike you about Cindy and, of course, and the boys is your strength, your inner strength, but also your sense of community. So I think that's what we all take away every time we see you and talk to you, and I'm sure that's coming across to the viewers now. So, of course, I'm talking with Cindy McGinty and David McGinty, who Mad Chameleon Photography,
Oh, yep.
and the the impetus behind our McGinty Family Fun Day. So let's talk about that.
Yes,
I love
please.
talking about it. I love talking about the scholarships. We just wrapped up the 2018 one. Any special shout outs? Anything that came across?
Caitlin Brightman got the Girls Scholarship for 2018.
She's an amazing
young
graduate,
woman.
yes.
And Ricky Keller got the Boys Scholarship.
That's great, fantastic.
So any seniors this year that reside in Foxborough, please, please, please be sure to watch for the scholarship application to come out on the McGinty Scholarship Foundation Facebook page.
So does that go through the schools, or do they have to apply for that separately?
No, they can apply. We usually drop off applications in the guidance offices,
Okay.
but they're also posted on the McGinty Scholarship Foundation page and also on the Foxborough Never Forgets page.
So be your friend there, and of course,
Yes.
Chris Mitchell is the Foxborough Never Forgets. And it's interesting you say that also. There's so many things I want to talk about, and we're out of time, but what are you going to do? It's my show, and that's all there is to it.
That's right.
So, Chris Mitchell, he was doing something completely different, and that struck a chord in him. He was the spear and the head of getting the memorial built up at the Public Safety Building. And now with his new career, his successful career, working with
Homes for our
veterans, Homes for Troops.
Yes.
So would that have happened, you always say, probably not,
Probably
had 9/11 not
not,
happened. So from every, the phoenix rises and something new happens.
Yeah.
And that's another big thing. Like all the things that we became involved in, I always think, would I be the same person I am today? Probably not.
Yeah.
It really opened my eyes about a lot of things.
And would we be the same community?
Maybe
Because
not.
we definitely took a different turn when that event happened. We came together, had some honest discussions, had some tough discussions,
Yeah.
and from the, it's one thing to hold a candle vigil on the common, but it's a whole nother thing to have a continuing event, to have the memorial built in the new, memorial against on the war on terror. So from those bad days, some good has come.
Wonderful things. And I made a lot of wonderful friends that I would not have made otherwise.
There you go.
I think for us, more good came out of it than bad. at
Than
the end
bad,
of the day.
really.
Wonderful to hear. And of course, we are so out of time. And even though it is my program, I still have to follow the laws of Lauren Batar. So here we
Yes.
go. I'm going to give you the last word. I'm going to remind everybody that David McGinty is starting his life in Los Angeles, but he is an international photographer now,
Yes.
professional, going to Tokyo. You can reach out to him at madchameleonphoto.com. You can also follow him on Instagram at madchameleonphoto. Apparently a very dynamic site. I'm going to follow you as soon as I get out of here, and
Thank you so much.
you'll see me as a friend on there when you get into it.
And Instagram is the best place to reach me. so.
Instagram is awesome.
Yeah.
And Cindy, you are our friend, and you're in Connecticut now.
Yes, I am. I'm in Bloomfield, Connecticut, but I'll always be a Foxborough girl at heart.
Well, there you go. And of course, I'm your friend on Facebook. So.
Yes.
So, last word. What can we do going out of 2018 as we go into 2019, where we will definitely have another McGinty Family Fun Day?
Yes,
What can
we
we
will.
do to? What are our words to march by?
Words to march by. Well, let's see. Tomorrow on September 11th, please do something good in someone's name. We'll be at the package drive on the Rose Kennedy Greenway with the Mass Military Heroes Fund, packing 500 care packages for soldiers overseas and homeless veterans.
But you don't have to do all that. Any
Yes.
small deed is
Any
good
small
enough. Just
deed.
buy someone a coffee, whatever it takes.
Pay it forward, folks.
Pay it forward.
Cindy, it's always great to see you.
Great to see you, Bob.
David, pleasure talking to you, and
Thanks so much for
so
having me
much
on.
congratulations on where you're at, and we can't wait to see what the next chapter is.
I
Proud
appreciate
of my
that.
boy.
We're proud of you, and thank you for taking time to be with us here in Foxborough Central. We are so out of time, but I am going to thank my camera operators, Deb Storrs and Betty Travers, and of course, Tyler Sharpman, who makes all this work on the editing, and Paul Beck, who makes us all work just to work. Alex is here. Everybody else is wonderful. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great day, Foxborough.